The man, the myth, the legend. That's what we're going to call this episode. The man, the myth, the legend. How you doing, my man?
I'm great, Carl. How are you, brother?
So, Chris Haynes out of the great city of Nashville, Tennessee. Are you from there?
Grew up an hour north of here. So basically, yes, I went to college 2 hours west and I've been around Nashville my whole life. So yes.
Yeah, nice. So you guys you're pretty consistent these days. And as we're recording this, we're in the middle of December, toward the end of December, coming up on Christmas time of 2024. And I think for the month you're somewhere, or last month you're somewhere around like 38 loans for the month with your team. About half of them are your personal ones. The other half is the team that you work around with. And I think the thing to put of note is you're doing that at a time where typically people are slowing up a little bit. The reason I reached out to you is I saw this post on Facebook the other day, and people meaning well, right? They just don't know. And somebody was saying, "Boy, I'm kind of slow," and then somebody else said, "Hey, everybody is slow this time of year," and I went, not everybody, right?
Right.
Not everybody, because some people are doing something different. That their December and November numbers are, good, like real good. So I thought we'd kind of dive deep a little bit and talk about that. Sound like a good topic?
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
So let's say here, let's start off with that. Somebody says, it's pretty quiet this time of year, so you might as well just kind of maybe pick up a side hustle, right? Maybe Uber drive or something like that, right? I see that. Um, and just kind of wait until spring and then come out blazing with blazing guns, something like that. What would you say? How would you have responded to that post?
Yeah, I mean, I understand it's been a tough couple years and people are having to make those decisions, but man, our business is such a pipeline business.
Yeah.
And the work we're doing today doesn't
Mm-hmm.
really even pay off next month. It usually takes 2 months, 3 months. So I believe that 2025 is going to be an awesome year. And I believe that the folks that have been working and kept working in September, October, November, December, going into 2025 are going to have that springboard into that great year. And the folks that start working, it's weird having the first of the year on a Wednesday. You can't tie it into either weekend. So, folks are going to be like, ah, man, I'm not going to work on the first. Man, I probably won't come too much on the second. The third's a Friday. So they're not starting work till January 6th, right? And then everybody gets back in and hey, let's January 6th, and then let's start working. Well, man, they're going to be behind the ball. And the folks that have been working, have their appointments, still meeting folks. I'm going to take it easy through Christmas and New Year, right? I'm not going to, call people on Christmas Eve and be
Right.
that guy. But you still have to work. You still have to fill out your call sheets. We call it a massive action plan is what we do here in my office. If you do that, you're going to be 10 steps ahead of the guy that coasted from November 1st until January 6th this year. And, because you come back in the office, there's a million other things that are going on. I got to catch up with that email and, this client needs this. And you really don't even get to start to prospect until the 7th. And now you're trying to start to set appointments. I'm going to be setting some appointments for that first week um, right now. Right,
Yeah. Yeah.
right before Christmas, like, hey, I know we're busy, you're not going to do a whole lot over, Christmas Day or anything like that, but let's go ahead and get those appointments set for those first couple weeks in January, so you're not coming in scrambling trying to get going.
That I always get an image when I hear you talk about this kind of thing, that everybody else is sitting at the Daytona 500 with their cars turned off. They're at the start line, but the cars are turned off, and they don't have the helmets on, and they're waiting for the green flag. And
Yeah,
then you have another cat that did a practice lap, and now they're coming around at full speed, and right when the wave the green flag waves, they're not getting in their car, starting the engine and taking off. They're already at full speed, blowing by
right.
everybody at the start finish line.
That's right.
Because they had forward momentum going with the green
Yeah.
flag. So hey, so let's say I'm if I'm at like let's say I'm closing a steady two or four or five loans a month or something like that. Like, what would be the first thing that I ought to start looking at or doing, or like what advice would you give me to go from a steady two or a steady four up to more of like the double digit numbers where you are? Like, what's one thing that you'd recommend that I do?
Yeah. So, are you, if you're asking me like, what would I tell myself, what would I have told myself when I was doing two and three and
Yeah,
four
when you're
loans a
doing two,
month?
three, or four, you could go back and talk to yourself. What would you tell yourself?
I think one of the biggest things, Carl, is, man, I think all loan officers need to dream bigger, right? When you're doing two or three loans a month, you want to get to four, right? And there's nothing wrong with that incremental growth. But man, I went to a seminar one time and I saw guys that were, this is 13 years ago, and somebody was making $1 million in 2011, right? And this was very much like it is now, big downturn. Like, how can anybody be doing, these kind of numbers? And and I realized, the loan officers that are doing these great things and doing bigger numbers than I'm doing, they're really not that much different than I am, right? And I need to have a bigger vision. And I immediately said, well, if he can do that, I can certainly do more than I was doing at the time, right? And I didn't necessarily think I could go all the way to those levels at that time. But man, I think dreaming bigger sooner is a big deal. I think that, sometimes we set our goals, like, let's say you did, I don't know, 24 loans this year. And next year I'm going to go all the way to 28 or 30, right? And that's a good growth, but you can also say, you know what, I'm going to do the work every day and I'm going to crush that. I'm going to set my goal where I can meet it, but man, I'm going to, 60 loans next year. Go from 2 loans a month to 5 loans a month. It is doable, and I think people just don't dream big enough soon enough. And I think it's amazing what people can accomplish in 5 years is so much more than they think. I think sometimes we set a big 1 year goal that maybe even isn't attainable, but we set a 5 year goal. And I think loan officers need to say, hey, I need to dream bigger. I need to, and it's not going to happen next month. Like, if you said, like, I'm closing two or three loans a month right now, I'm not going to close 10 next month. But hey, next June, 6 months out, or next year at this time, I can absolutely be closing a lot more. So I think dreaming bigger. And then the second thing, I
You
probably
know what?
maybe
Stop
have,
there just for a second.
yeah.
Stop there just a second. So, dream bigger. So, number one, number two. All right. So, on the dream bigger, like, how do I do that? Like, how do I know what bigger is? Like, is it? I'm kind of going back. You're the sum total of the five people that you hang out with. So, is it really just hanging out with other like
Hmm.
people that are producing bigger than me and going, well, gee, if they can do it, right? It's proven it can be done. Like, is that the kind of
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah. I mean, the next thing I was going to say was get a mentor or a coach, right? Hang around people who are doing what you want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, Carl, I say this all the time to guys in my office and anybody that asks about coaching and getting a mentor. Me and you, Carl, we can run to the top of Mount Everest, right? Let's go get our backpacks and go to REI and buy our stuff, and we'll flatten. Me and you can do it ourselves, and we'll probably die on the way back down because that's when people get in trouble, right? Or me and you can do it and hire a mentor, hire a coach, the guys that are at the base of that mountain that charge a little bit at the base of that mountain, and they've done it 100 times successfully. They have all the things like, look, here's the pictures of all the people we've taken up and down and up and down. I'm hiring the mentor,
Yeah.
right? And it avoids the pitfalls. You don't know the path, and when you get in trouble, what do I do here? So I think that's the key, is being around people that are doing what you want to do. And then, I think it's so important that you have a mentor, you have a coach that helps hold you accountable and shows you the way. But without it, you're still going to get progress, right? If you've never had a coach, you are where you are, and you've made progress to where you are. But the fast pass, is to have somebody that guide, right? Like, hey, man, don't go that way. Actually, what you want to do is go this way, and here's why. And I'll tell you, I made that mistake 3 times before I learned that mistake.
Yeah.
Let me just stop you from making that mistake 3 times and wasting 6 months, 9 months, 2 years, and let's just go this way, which is where you go. And it kind of brings me to the third thing. I think if I was giving myself advice, your team is your key, right? You are
Say it
not
again.
going to do that. Your team is your key. The team is the key, right? And you're not going to do bigger number. You're not going to double your business because most likely you can't work. And there's probably some people that could work double what they're doing right now, right? They're kind of mailing it in here.
Yeah.
Um, but there's not enough hours in the day that you're going to go close 15 loans a month by yourself and have any kind of life, right? Because, um, for me, I've got three boys. They're freshman year, in high school, eighth grader, and third grader. And I'm coaching my eighth grader, my third grader in basketball, and I also coach my older one a little bit. I'm not an official coach, but I'm coaching my other kids officially in basketball. So that's super important to me to be able to have that time with them, right? And that's something that I can never replace. And if I didn't have a team, and honestly, if you're closing 5 or 6 or 7 loans a month, if you don't have a team, you're going to work, right? And you're going to work through basketball practice. You're going to work through the game, and you're going to walk in 10 minutes late to the game because you just can't get to it. You're going to, you're just going to be bogged down. So having a great team behind you that can help you is going to be the key, I think, to your success, and also to.
Okay. So anytime I do these, anytime I have conversations with big producers like yourself, so the leaders in our community, I always try the yeah buts, because I try to think, what is somebody listening to this, what are they thinking? And I just heard a big look. I get that I need the team. I'm closing 2 or 3 loans right now. I can't afford a team. Like, how does that
Yeah.
work?
Um, well, so in our office, no matter how many loans you're closing, you have a ton of support, right? When you turn in a loan to processing, our goal is that you literally have a processing meeting once a week to get to know what's going on, and then do your Tuesday update calls, right? Your just ask calls on Tuesdays. So we say, hey, loan officer, meet with your processor. The processor takes that file, gets the conditions, actually does all that for you, right? So you're not processing files. If you're chasing bank statements and you're running down the title report and you're trying to get insurance lined up and trying to get the CD out and all the things that can just really bog you down, you just can't be doing that. So you have to get with somewhere that's going to support you in that way. And then when you're doing about 5 to 6 loans a month, that's when you get help with incoming leads, right? When you're only doing 5 loans a month, you should be able to take the lead, get them pre-approved,
Yeah.
and send out the loan docs, right?
Mhm.
Plenty of time to do that and knock it out in 40 hours a week. When you're starting to do 6 loans a month, 8 loans a month, and more, you can't do it. You're going to
Yeah.
get bogged down. There's so many leads that coming in. So we say you're going to close 20% in this market. In normal market, we're 25%, but I think in this market, most loan officers probably 15%, maybe 20% of their leads. If you're going to close 8 loans a month, you need like 40 leads. Well, that's
Right.
40 incoming calls, right?
Yeah.
40 pre-approvals, 40 all the things that are you're trying to get done. You're going to start running out of time if you're going to try to go to that. So, your team is key, and whatever your setup is, I believe you need to look at the size of the pie you can grow. Some people are like, man, I make all these basis points. I'm not going to give up any basis points to have a team, and that's really short-sighted, right? And there's plenty of people that make a ton of basis points on 2 loans a month, but I'd whole lot rather get paid on 15 loans a month and make a little bit less per loan and have a life and have a team that can take care of my clients.
Yeah, I've thought, how many electric cars would Elon sell if he was the one out there with the welder, and the putting the tires on the car. It's not until he invests in tire putter honors, that or Henry Ford. If he'd have been the one building the cars, and he didn't have a team, I wouldn't have an F Ford. I wouldn't have a Ford F-150 in my garage
That's right.
right now. So
Hey there. Hey, if you're loving the tips so far, be sure to hit that subscribe button right down there and then tap the little bell so that you never miss out on more free, cool tips coming your way. Also, I would love to hear from you. Drop a comment beneath there. Let me know what you think or tell me what you'd like to hear next.
and I think you nailed something else here too. I've often thought, like, one of the biggest problems that loan officers have, particularly those that are in the single digits, is they think, well, if I go prospect, I'll get more loans. But if I get more loans, I'll have more headaches. And right now, with the 4 deals that I'm doing, I got all the headaches I can take.
Yeah,
And I think that's where the having an assistant coming in, where, like, in my world, and I know in your world, more loans in your world doesn't mean more headaches. It just means more income, and you're helping more families
that's right.
because you have somebody else, helping to, when you have a flat tire, which we all have, that when you have a flat tire, you got somebody changing tires for you, and you're not
Yeah,
having to get out of your race car and change your own tires.
that's right. And I think you really need to hit that home because you're the one that told me that one time years ago. Sometimes we feel like more loans or more problems, and I don't think any loan officer would ever say that, but it's subliminal, is our, what do we call it, right? Your subconscious
Yeah.
is saying, you know what? I'm stressed out, and whatever I'm doing, 2 loans or 10 loans, I'm stressed out already. The thought of doing another one and having another, you know, uh, condition that I got to chase down in bank statement and, letter of explanation, man, the thought of doing one more of those doesn't sound great at all.
Yeah.
Instead of like, hey, when I get a lead, I take great care of it, build a relationship with them, help them make the decision to buy the house, lock their loan, and I'm pretty much like 98% done at that point. So getting another loan is like the fun part. Oh, hey, Carl, you're buying a house. Let me help you. Let's walk you through this process. Let me tell you what makes me different, right? Build up a lot of value. Um, get them locked in. Hey, Carl, my team's going to take great care of you. You're going to hear from me on Tuesdays. Every Tuesday, I'm going to check in and make sure my team is doing a great job for you. Let you know exactly where you're at. Make sure you always know what's going on. We're going to close your loan early. And hey, Carl, every week I'm going to ask you for a referral. So just so you know, man, we're going to ask you as you are going through life and you're buying a house, you're going to hear of other people might be buying a house, maybe need to refinance. And I'll give you that update Tuesdays and check in to see if you've run across anybody I can help. Does that sound fair? And if
Mm-hmm.
I'm done with that file at that point, 99%, right? Now you're still going to have the appraisal came in short. You might have to restructure one every now and then. But if I'm not chasing those conditions and getting that bank statement, I can go get another one and it's not a big headache. And, loan officers make good money. And if you can figure out how to do another 5 loans a month, I think, Carl, you guys use about 3,000 per loan, give
Yeah.
or take, right?
Give or take.
Depends on loan sizes and all the things. Figure out how to do 5 more of those. That's 15,000 a month, right? That's doctor money. That's really, really good money. And, I had a note here, something I heard. I heard a billionaire talking to a young guy. I was at a financial seminar, and literally, I can't remember who it was, but he was a legitimate like billionaire. And there's a guy in his 20s that had started. He has a business, and he was asking questions. And he's like, what's the number one piece of advice you would give me as a young guy starting out? And his advice was take more risks,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think a lot of us see, man, if I hire a team, that's a risk. If I hire a coach and go speak, because it costs money to have a coach. If I hire a coach, that's a risk. If I need to make a change, all change is seen as risk. If you're whatever it might be, if you're at the wrong company or you're at the wrong whatever it is, it's seen as risk and they don't take it. Right? The reality is the biggest risk in life, in my opinion, Carl, is not taking it. Right? And I can look back at different things that I've done and taking risks. I remember sitting and it wasn't your coaching program that I was first introduced to, but I thought it was a huge risk to do this. It was 2011. Like, man, I don't know, there's a lot of money. Best financial decision I ever made. It did more for my business. Getting that coach, getting that mentor. I literally tripled the first full year I was in coaching because I actually did it. Right. If you get that mentor and you get that coach and you're paying the money, you're going to do the work.
Yeah.
So,
Something about having skin in the game is a game changer. That I had a guy tell me something. I just heard this like about 6 months ago or so, and it really struck home to me. Kind of the same thing. He said, risk looking stupid.
yeah.
Because we're so afraid. Well, I'm going to try something that won't work, and then I'm going to look stupid. Like, which nobody ever thinks we look stupid when we try something that doesn't work, but yet it's in our mind that that's what's going to happen. So this guy told me,
Man,
"Oh, risk looking stupid."
risk looking stupid. It reminds me of something I presented yesterday. I was doing a little presentation, a Jim Carrey quote, and I'm sure you've heard it, but it says, "Your need for acceptance will make you invisible in this world." And Jim
Mm,
Carrey, the crazy actor that does when he first came up and he was doing all the funny faces, and he caught a lot of criticism. People were like, "Oh, this guy's a kind of a moron. His comedy will never work." And now he's Jim Carrey of got
yeah,
$20 million per movie. In the 90s he was making $20 million per movie, and he said your need for acceptance will make you invisible. So yeah,
mm,
risk looking stupid, right? If you
mm,
nothing too bad is going to happen. Take those risks in life, man. Whether it's your career, buy some investment properties, put your money, to work for you and something that may go up in value and not just buying stuff that's going to go down in value. You got to take risks.
yeah. Hey, what's somebody that's closing 3 or 4? What's something that they're probably not doing that somebody that closing double digit numbers like you Like, what's something likely you're doing that somebody at 2 or 3 loans, or you at 2 or 3 loans, wasn't doing? What's something you're doing now that at 2 or 3 loans you weren't doing?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for the guy at 2 and 3 loans is they're not meeting new people. They're not setting up those appointments and meeting in face, face to face, in person. Zoom is okay, but if you're at 2 or 3 loans a month, they're most likely spending a lot of time chasing those 2 or 3 loans, trying to get them closed, and not saying, you know what, I'm going to meet 3 new people every week. Couple realtors, financial planner, right? And that takes phone calls, and you gotta set those up. We teach you can do it cold. You can do it through what we call the triangle for trust and make those cold calls a lot more warm. But if you'll go meet, I just say 3 new people a week. And this is, and on top of maintaining your relationships with people you're already doing business with,
Yeah.
you're going to find people you connect with. And man, after most of those meetings, you're not going to get referrals from all of them, but you should get a referral from a lot of them. Like, hey, they took the time to have lunch with you. If you liked them, you like them. It should turn into business. And if you do that for not 2 weeks, right? You can't do it for 2 weeks. Oh, I met 6 people. Like, no, you do. This is what I do every week. I'm meeting 3 people. If you do that all year, you're talking about 150 people. You know,
That's
um,
that's a needle mover.
yeah, if you meet 150 people, you're going to do a lot more business than you're doing today, as long as it doesn't create so much more work for you that you can't do it, right? Because
Yeah.
you go get a little bit more business, and now I got to stop doing that because now I've got 5 loans a month and I'm processing them, and that's where most loan officers hit their ceiling. They just
Yeah.
stop
Yeah.
growing at that point.
Hey, on your, I know you do an in-house coaching program for your company that you do, which is not my company, by the way. So it's we
Yeah,
work for different companies, right? Which, by the way, I have to say, I love the masterminding with people outside my organization, because I know how we do it, but I don't know how you do it, right? And
yeah,
I always think, it's that it goes that old saying that if we have a meeting and I bring $1 and you bring $1, and if we exchange those dollars, we each leave with $1. But if I come with an idea and you come with an idea and then we exchange ideas, we each leave with two, right?
hmm
So I really like that. But on your I don't know what got me thinking about that. But on your in-house coaching program, what would you say is like is it and I get it, it's all valuable. But what do you think really moves the needle? Is it the how to do, the what to do, or the accountability, the hope, seeing somebody else that's doing better than me? Like, what do you think is the one thing that really moves the needle, like on any coaching program, but
Um,
specifically yours?
yeah, I think that the community is a big deal, right? Having people come, but
Yeah,
it's the accountability because you get some people that, hey, I want to do this, and then they don't do it, and
yeah,
they're not turning it what we call our massive action plan. And if you will do that thing and have accountability, like, hey, I committed at the beginning of the year, I'm going to have 50 talk tos every single week, and that's my commitment, or maybe it's 60 that I'm going to do every single week. That accountability of turning that in and saying, you know what, man, I had a bad week. I got sick. Kids were doing this, and I only got 30 last week. And I can tell in a week that I'm off track. And it does happen, right? But then next week, I got to get it back up. You can't just
yeah,
go week after week after week. And hey, maybe at the beginning of the year, my goals were to meet 3 new people every week for the first quarter, right? Well, if I'm in
yeah,
week 4 and I'm not doing it, who's like, hey man, you said you're going to do something, you're not doing it, you got to pick it up, right? So I think the accountability, because when we get in our day to day, I got 1,000 emails that need to be looked at. I've got social media stuff that I can go do 100 videos for. There's a million things to do, but what did I say was important? And having someone hold me accountable to actually doing that. I think the accountability and the community, right? Because I think that's part of it. I don't want to show up to the call and be like, I'm the only guy that's not hitting his numbers.
yeah.
Everybody else is knocking it out, and I said I was going to knock it out, but I've been distracted or I just haven't been motivated.
It's like peer pressure in a cool way.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You know,
Because a lot of people, peer pressure is a good thing, right? On
and
when it comes time to moving the needle in the right direction, I
yeah,
like peer pressure. I think it's a good thing, and that's why I hang out with you. I'm a better person. Really, I'm a better person because I hang out with people like you and people like
I
Steve and people
appreciate
like
that.
Owen and just um yeah, hanging out with the right people. But you know what I think is equally as important? I think who's there, and I'm using air quotes, is important. I also think who's not there is important too. Not hanging out with the Eeyores, so to speak. I think
Yeah.
it's a big deal. So,
Well,
and
can I give you just one quick example that I've thought about a lot of times? I played high school basketball and then I played small college basketball. Okay. And I remember I was good in high school, right? Like obviously you're pretty good in high school if you're going to play at the next
yeah,
level. NAI college, when I got to the next level, I remember thinking, holy smokes, these guys are bigger, stronger, and faster. And the game sped up exponentially. And at first, and it happened every year, all the freshmen come in, they're like, whoa, I got to, within 3 weeks, now you're just playing ball. You're used to it. You're used to the a little bit more physicality.
mm,
You're used to the speed of the game. You can guard the guy that the first day was like, I can't guard this guy. This guy's, he's 3 years older than me and is amazing. Now you're staying with him. And I think it's the same thing when we change our peer group, we play up and it makes us go up, right? And it's a big deal. So changing that peer group and level up your game is a big deal.
brother, that's a great visual image. I really like that. I'll give you credit sometimes. I'll give you credit at the
Don't give me any
beginning,
credit.
but then
You can say
no,
you played college basketball,
no,
Carl.
no,
Did
no.
you play Carl?
So let me tell you something I found. Let me tell you something I found. So stealing stories totally uncool, right? Totally, totally uncool. Borrowing stories is
Yeah,
totally cool.
giving
So what I
credit.
found is I can share that story. Use your name. I got a buddy of mine, Chris. He told me that and share story, and it has the same effect. Yeah, don't ever steal a story. I'm not saying it to you, but just I don't
Right.
know. We
And
might
act like
edit
and
that
act
part
like
out.
like it was yours. Like back when I was
Yeah,
bowling
yeah,
professionally.
yeah. I
Um,
heard somebody. I heard somebody. That's all right. We'll go on. I heard somebody steal one of my stories one time, and the crowd knew it because it was one of my famous
oh my
stories.
gosh.
It was my Dr. Butler story. So some of you have heard that. All right, man. So hey, it's the top of the hour here. I try to keep these to drive time. So Chris, thanks for being here, man. Anything you want to share, or you want to give your personal home address and invite everybody over to a barbecue, or
Yeah, absolutely. I tell you what, Carl, like I love to share. And if anybody here wants to reach out to me, text is going to be the best way. I get a lot of spam calls and stuff like that. So unknown numbers don't always get answered. But yeah, you can text me 615-945-3994 and text me, let me know who you are. Love to talk to you if you're, wanting any more information about that. Again, I'll give that number at 615-945-3994. And then I am starting Loan Officer Quick Tip podcast. And that should be, by the time this launches, that should be out there. If you want to kind of check that out, it's a Loan Officer Quick Tip podcast. We're going to try to keep those things to like little 5 to 10 minutes, may go to 15 minutes sometimes, but little bite-sized pieces of information about how credit works or how to sell a client on a shopper, how to, just little things that loan officers need in a day to day. And I want to be able to share that with the community, man. And think that'll be something that'll be hopefully really popular. So check that out.
I like that, man. Good stuff, man. Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate you, Carl. Thank you so much.